welcome back to Consultants Corner. I'm Rebecca Brizi. This is my corner. I am a consultant. And while these videos are targeted towards other consultants or freelancers, people who are setting up their businesses, running their businesses all on their own, my day job is, of course, as I say, as a consultant, and I recently had the opportunity to present a 7-minute case study. I chose to present on the work I did with a fairly new nonprofit that needed to put together a mission statement and a launch plan. The following 7 minutes are my presentation. For you, it's an opportunity to see how it is that I work with clients. I always talk on this channel about being able to define what you do. Here is one of the ways in which I define what I do. Roll the tape. Today, and what happened was a client of mine, who was actually a Power Core referral originally, called me up one day and said that he mentors a person in his profession who's on the board of a nonprofit, and he was going to refer me to that board, to that nonprofit. This is their story. After 40 years as an alternative school, the spirit and mission of the original organization wanted to live on in a new form. Now, what happened was the school had closed down, and the board members were left with a significant amount of money that they needed to administer. So the plan was to take that money and start a foundation that was to provide financial support to educational purposes, give money as grants to people who wanted to pursue alternative educational options that they could not get funded in a traditional manner. The board for this nonprofit was made up of 7 people, each one absolutely dedicated to the same cause. They'd been on the board for the school. They'd been doing this a long time. And yet they'd never agreed on one single thing. With this new nonprofit, they had a launch date ready and they had press coverage booked. So that launch date was written in stone. And the concern was, how could they get this nonprofit off the ground, meet that deadline, and not have any hiccups, do this efficiently, but also do it well. So that's where they brought me in. I had a first meeting with them to determine, where are they, what do we need to do here? And we determined that there are 3 key needs to get to that launch date were, first of all, a mission statement. This was, of course, so they can communicate their mission to their audience, but just as important, if not more so, it was so that they were all on the same page about why they were here and what they were going to achieve. In big, lofty statements, they already were, but once you got down to specifics, that's where you started to see different opinions. So making sure that this was actually coherent across everybody on the board. We also needed a launch plan. How were they going to bring this to market and get it in front of an audience? And once they did that, explain what they expected people to do, how they were going to receive their bids for grants and gauge them. They needed to be able to communicate that as well. I put together a proposal that they liked. They were considering me against somebody, I don't know this other person, but she had proposed a 5-day intensive program of sort of self-discovery workshops and training at $6,000 a day. I proposed 3 2-hour meetings with a bit of homework in between for just under $3,000. They chose me because that was what they needed. They were not looking for the team building right now, that side of things. That might be something they do at a later date, but right now they needed these 3 specific deliverables, and they needed them fairly quickly. And they also all have day jobs. Again, this is a volunteer board position. So that's what we went with. We scheduled our 3 meetings. What is my job in these 3 meetings? So the first thing I'm doing in each meeting is to set the needs of the meeting. We're going to come in and say, we're doing this one specific thing today. This is why we're here, and we are going to achieve it. And then make sure that we actually did achieve the thing. The second thing I'm there to do is ensure that all the voices at the table are heard. 7 people is a lot of people, especially with strong opinions, and some people are louder than others. It's always that way. What I needed to do was make sure that we heard everybody, and that includes at least one piece of good news from everybody and at least one disagreement from everybody. And the point there is not to check off a list, but I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable sharing what they're thinking and what's on their mind. So getting that negative out of everybody at least once makes it easier if there's more negative for them to share. I need to make sure that they stay on track. This is about letting everybody brainstorm very freely and broadly, but also not wander from what we need to get to achieve in this meeting. And eventually just get the things done. So make sure that we're bringing all of this information together. Everybody's in agreement. And at the end, we have a concrete written deliverable that ticks the box of what we need to get done in this meeting. This is my job, making sure that all of these things happen. How does this happen? It's through asking questions. This is my role, is the question marks. I cannot tell them what their mission statement is or should be. What I do is make sure that they're using the correct process to determine that mission statement. There's a right way and a wrong way. And through questioning or through my facilitation, I'm guiding them through that process, whether they know that that's happening or not. I'm making sure that we're getting a mission statement that everybody's happy to put their name to. The result was a good one. They're all 7 of them are happy with the outcome. And what's nice is they can each explain the mission. They've memorized the mission, but they can explain the mission and the plan, each using their own words, but they're all saying the same thing. They can use their language. So they don't sound like automatons, is the point I'm trying to make, that they've just memorized everything that they have to say. They can use their own language. They sound natural, which means that they're connecting with their audience, but they're never going to contradict one another, which is tremendously important, especially with that many people. This was a team that knew what they wanted. They weren't necessarily fixing problems, but they're looking to be specific, get things done to deadline, and increase their effectiveness. That's really what consulting is about. I'm not here necessarily because a business has problems, though they may feel like problems in the moment to my client. But my work is for the upside. It's for business owners and leaders who want to get things done. And consulting gives them really 3 main things: accountability to work to deadline and make sure things get done, guidance through what is the correct way to get this done and know that it's effective, and those boundaries of not going off topic and making sure, but at the same time, allowing plenty of breadth to what we're considering. Mention this to your friend who has to have a glass of wine before each of her volunteer board meetings. She wishes they could get more done, so ask her how they keep to time in those meetings. Thank you.